This video is sponsored by Bityard. With over 400 cryptocurrencies to choose from on their spot exchange, dozens of USDT pairs for futures trading, perpetual coin futures, trade commodities like gold, silver and oil, Forex, and major indices like Nasdaq. You can buy crypto from Bityard with over 50 different fiat currencies, using Visa, MasterCard, Google or Apple Pay. If you like, you can use their copy trade facility, follow other traders who will execute trades on your behalf, or become a copy trader yourself. So if you want a bit of that, click the link in the description. Hello everybody, welcome back. Let's make it short and simple. It's just an extension of what we were saying yesterday, which is that yesterday, further downside did look particularly most likely on a 4-hourly, but breaking down below that Bollinger Band seemed unlikely, and we basically held above the Bollinger Band, basically on this 28.29. So long as we can hold the summer lows, everything seems okay for what should be a continuation of a bounce here from this huge low, and the bounce should take us potentially up to a maximum, I would say, of this trend line here. So this consolidation trend line has been in for a little while, but most likely it's going to get rejected before there. But that is the top target. So we're talking sort of the mid 30s, and again this is descending over time, as are the 200 simple and exponential on the 4-hourlies. The 4-hourly seems to have quite decent relevance to it, to be honest with you. The 50 exponential being an area of rejection all the way over here, and recently on this big pump up, well, I say big pump, but the bounce is where we got rejected from to the last time on Sunday, I believe it was Sunday, or yesterday morning, actually, yesterday morning. So we are approaching there again, and again it's also the top of the Bollinger Band range on the 4-hourly. So we'll keep our eyes peeled on this. This coming in more or less exactly at 31,000. Nice round number for the armchair traders there to be selling from, and I can completely understand why you would want to do that. When you look at the larger term time frames, so starting from a weekly, obviously being below all major moving averages is not a good look. Same with the daily, below all major moving averages, also not a good look. And if we think about the rejection areas on here, is about 31,200, 31,300. That's your 10 exponential, which it also has a heavy correlation to where we were rejected from yesterday. But, stuck between a rock and a hard place is basically the price action for the moment. So summer lows held as far as candle bodies are concerned, and this being our resistance at the moment. So effectively this is our current range. A breakout from either one of these will have continuation, either to the up, to this trend line here, or to the down, to effectively either sweep these lows and maybe make new ones heading down towards 24 roughly, between 22 and 26 basically. The reasons for that all suggested on the weekly, where we've got our 200 exponential here 25, and our 200 simple moving average about 22, give or take. So obviously my buy order is going to be straight in the middle of all of that, a little bit higher, but yeah. So yeah, we're waiting and seeing what's going on with all of this. Now, obviously, you can see, just a little selection of altcoins around here. Some are doing okay, some are bouncing better than others. Jasmine actually, surprisingly, actually having what appears to be a decent setup. We'll look at all of these on the live stream tonight. If you want to join the Patreon, feel free to do so. Links in the description. Excuse me, 2 live streams a week, and we'll look at all kinds of stuff, stocks, commodities, crypto, whatever it is you want, we'll look at that. So we won't go into any details about altcoins for the moment, but effectively, long story short, they're all moving through association with Bitcoin. So whatever Bitcoin wants to do, altcoins will do that to a larger extent in this short term. Anyway, talking about moving through association, let's have a little look at the Nasdaq. So this is Nasdaq. It closed down yesterday by over 1%. So it's still holding up, or reasonably well for this current level of support. So oversold, big bounce, and effectively closed 2 days in a row here above this major support. It is a major support. It's not the be all and end all of supports, but it is a major support coming in to mark effectively these tops and this support, and we've come down to revisit it. So it's not the biggest support you've ever seen in the world, it's just a support, and we're so far holding against it. And if we think about what we're looking at here, we're looking at a giant consolidation as well, a descending triangle, whether you use this as your this horizontal here as the support, this one, or this one, it doesn't matter which way you look at it or which way you try and cut it, until we break out of a formation like that, it is a consolidation and will continue to be a consolidation until we're outside of it. But this is how Nasdaq closed yesterday. Let's have a look at effectively the pre-market today. Whoa! So we've already moved up towards the 10 exponential. Okay, so we recognized yesterday. Well, it's not just yesterday, but yesterday was like perfect, you know, tick for tick, basically, the correlation between the pre-market and Bitcoin. You could argue that Bitcoin might be the main leading indicator for the Nasdaq's next move after the when the pre-market's over and the market's actually open. You could say that, but who the hell really knows? The idea is that at the moment they're so heavily correlated that they're all being rejected at exactly the same areas. 10 exponential on the Nasdaq rejection yesterday, and we saw that obviously on Bitcoin, 10 exponential rejection yesterday. So the Nasdaq's already approached its 10 exponential at the moment, so it's moved up. Well, that would mean that if Bitcoin really wants to, you know, be dragged alongside, you know, Nasdaq, then we are looking for a continuation to a move up today, provided that the pre-market continues to move up and is fruitful with these nice green candles. But again, the grand picture is Bitcoin's still in a consolidation pattern, Nasdaq still in a consolidation pattern. Where are we? Still in a consolidation pattern, but you know, having a nice little bounce. We measured it yesterday. If we were about to bounce on the Nasdaq for, you know, to the best of its potential ability, we would be looking for over a period of weeks to maybe move up to the top of the descending triangle again. And obviously, we would expect a rejection from there because we've had them in the past, and nothing has really changed fundamentally in the way that the economy is basically bleeding out at the moment. So we should always expect a rejection while in these formations. But if you wanted to, as an investor, I suppose you'd be looking at buying supports, probably looking and waiting for a better opportunity for Nasdaq, to be honest with you, whether it's at the next one down or creeping out of the triangle, and see where we go from there. Remember, Nasdaq's an up-only chart, same as Bitcoin, so market participants do want to get back in, but they're holding off for the moment. Between now and next month, you know, I suppose that we're letting the dust settle at the moment after the horrendous pullbacks and crashes and dumps and black swans and all these other things that have come to pass for specifically crypto. But traditional markets are not feeling too happy either, and we've got another rate hike next month. We've got a new CPI report, and again, for trying to stop repeating myself, I expect inflation to have peaked by next month. So that's my expectation, given the data that we've seen so far. Seems as though we will have already had the peak will be in, which means that slowly but surely inflation will start to come down. However, that remains to be seen. So with all of that, that leads the next 3 or 4 weeks until this information comes through to us, the new CPI report, and then obviously the next rate hike is probably going to continue to be choppy and potentially even down. But that's not without a continuation of a bounce first, and then move back down again as we wait and sell the rumour to potentially maybe even buy the news. If we do get a peak inflation report, I expect that rumour to basically have been over and everything get bought up at that point, and maybe even have continuation for a prolonged period of time. Remember, inflation is still going to be really high. It's still going to be very high. So it's not that just by having a peak inflation report means that everyone's going to go absolutely crazy, although that they probably will, because it's the sort of emotional response that you would get from markets as a result of having a figure to suggest, oh, finally inflation's coming down a little bit. It's not the be all and end all. It's still not an investor's wet dream to be buying into when the economy is looking the way that it is, with all these buzzing black swans, circling. I wouldn't even call them black swans anymore. I think we should call them vultures, black vultures, coming down and pecking these charts, just picking them out, making them bleed. It's effectively what's going on right now. But all markets should start to find a little bit of upside, probably from now, and then, whether we move all the way up to the top of this trend line before the CPI report or we continue back down, it's still going to be a relatively choppy range. But eyes on the prize for next month, where I believe inflation will have likely peaked. But on a chart basis, it is relatively simple. It's the same as we said yesterday. We're not looking for big, powerful moves, I would expect, for Bitcoin or the Nasdaq. We're looking to reclaim potentially areas of interest. First of all, 10 exponential on Bitcoin, which could lead us up to the middle of this Bollinger Band on the daily, which currently would come in at around 33, 34, and see where we go from there. And at best, we'd be looking to reach the top of the trend line. So we are looking for sort of the mid-30s for our next destination for Bitcoin. Look, we could easily get rejected from here and sweep the lows once again, remain in this range. If we think about the Bollinger Bands on the 4-hourly, they're pretty tight, to be honest with you. They are quite tight, so expecting enormous amounts of volatility while in this sort of medium range, I would say is unlikely. But soon enough, with the Bollinger Bands pinch a little bit tighter and a little bit tighter, they will look to make a big break. And if we think about the momentum and the way that the momentum is shifting, it does appear to be continuing to the ups. We had the bullish divergence forming throughout here on the 4-hourly. That's playing out to an extent. It's continuing with its upside momentum, which is good on the 4-hourly. And I think we're just going to be slowly, bit by bit, incrementally picking up areas that we've lost. And then obviously the main fear would be waiting for the next big rejection, which could obviously take us down to a new low. And I say could, it might not. The low could be in for now. We could actually go higher. We could go a lot higher. We could go up into, towards 40,000 over a period of a couple of months or so, or maybe even just a month or so. But for this very moment in time, as of the rest of today, I think the best we can hope for would be to creep up into the lower 30s and see where we stand with all of that, using our Bollinger Bands and our moving averages on the daily as our main area of looking for rejections. The bigger moves will obviously be rejections. The trickling up will be obviously for the upside. Don't really see it being a powerful move. But if we keep our eyes on the Nasdaq, like I say, the pre-market's looking relatively good for a continuation up to maybe just short of 13,000. So if you marry all this stuff together, it looks okay for the moment. But for Bitcoin, it does first of all need to reclaim 31,300, which is basically this toppy vibe over here on these last two dailies, and also being above that 10 exponential, and then that could easily lead us up to, we'll call it 33,500 initially, but obviously we could go a little higher than that. And again, it's just a matter of reclaiming these zones. And like I say, just to reiterate, the 4-hourly has still got momentum. The daily is yet to build it. So the daily is prime for rejection to a decent extent at any one of these levels, even the 10 exponentials. So choppy range, definitely choppy range. And it's just a matter of just sitting back and watching and waiting, to be honest with you. It's going to be a difficult 3 or 4 weeks until the CPI report comes out, and obviously we've got another rate hike before then too, so there's a lot going on in the next 4 weeks which will have impacts on all markets. But it is what it is, and this is the game we play. Like I say, I've bought all these zones out now, so I am just simply waiting to see if we go higher or lower. There's no point in trying to get any clever and trying to pick up in any of these zones. It's all been bought up for Bitcoin. I'll be happy to buy lower. If it goes higher, that's great, but for the moment it is just sit back, watch and wait. And altcoins, of course, will move through association, but I strongly feel as though buying into altcoins, unless you've got a plan for those altcoins long term, might not be the greatest idea. But there's plenty of scalping opportunity, but with everything's being determined by Bitcoin, and Bitcoin's being determined by a much grander picture, it makes it very difficult to trade altcoins unless, of course, you're able to sit at your computer all day, every day, and make the most out of the small fluctuations on the 15 minutes charts and things like that. So, maybe I'll see you tonight on the live stream. Otherwise, I hope you have a nice day. Feel free to join the Telegram, and many other links in the description below. Take it easy.